First of all, I appreciate everyone being here today. Obviously, a great week for Illinois baseball. Really excited about this signing class. We had the Atkins announcement yesterday, and then we leave on our foreign trip to get into some warm weather on Saturday. So, a lot of fun things going on in our program. As you look at this recruiting class and you compare it to a number of classes that we've had in the past, and then the nationally ranked class that is on campus right now, I think it stacks up very, very well. The thing that we always try to do is bring in very high quality athletes. I think that's really important. If you look at northern schools, a lot of times what some people think the premier players or the highest rated players in some different areas, they end up going south. Well, we've started to get our fair share of those players and then fill in with some really good athletes that continue to develop and have gone on to be high draft choices. And I think this class fits in, with the group. Right now, the names that you have in front of you, we have 8 signees. We do have a few more people in the mix, and because of NCAA rules, we can't announce those people or talk specifics right now. But we do have 11 in the fold. Our thoughts would be to add 2 more players as we move forward in the spring. It's going to be a big turnover year for us. We're going to lose 13 seniors, and then we've got a number of juniors that are very good players, and we're kind of projecting for a number of guys to be gone in the draft. So, this class is going to be important as we bring in quality players to help us compete at a high level again next year. The makeup of the class would be with the total of 11 right now. We have 5 pitchers, 2 of those left-handed pitchers, 2 outfielders, 3 infielders, and then we've got, I don't want to say a utility player, but we have a very good athlete that we can play both infield and outfield. We've got a lot of guys that by recruiting services are ranked very high. We've got a few guys in the class that may not be ranked as high from a service standpoint, but the way we project them and some of the things that they've done over the past year, they're going to be really special players in the program. And we've had to fill some needs. We've got some outfield spots that are going to open up. We protect ourselves with infielders to go along with not only the guys in the program, but a couple guys that will probably be a little bit more of a role type player this year. And we think with this group, the guys that we'll have back next year, that we've got a chance to be solid again. So the arms we brought in the class, if you look at our recruiting and the way things unfold, you take a lot of educated guesses. And our staff, if you look at what Adam Chris has done, Drew Dickinson, now Kurt Courtright, they've gone out and evaluated and really done a good job at looking into the crystal ball and kind of projecting guys out, and they've done an unbelievable job because we've signed some pitchers early that were in the low 80s, and now they're in the high 80s, low 90s. One guy or 2 guys touching the mid 90s, and that's very difficult to do. If you had that crystal ball and you were perfect all the time, you'd probably have everybody in the mid 90s, but the projection and the job that those guys do on a daily basis has been really impressive. Again, I'm excited about this class, and look forward to getting these guys on campus.
Dan, it jumps out that the majority of these guys are from the Chicago area or in state, and one with a family connection as well. Is that happenstance, or was there a concentrated effort to be in the Chicago area this year?
The thing that I've always said in our program, with us being the University of Illinois, if we could get every great player in the state of Illinois and you had an all-Illinois roster, I think that's a bonus just because we are the University of Illinois. But is that our sole goal, just to have a roster full of Illinois players? It's not. We're going out to try and find the best players. If you look at last year's class, we had Minnesota, we had Wisconsin, and we have Illinois. This year, just the way everything worked out over time, it's all Illinois. The three players that we can't comment on, they're Illinois players. And then, you look at, as you said, we've got Xavier Watson coming in, which is, the brother to Cirillo, which is on our team. So, we didn't set out. We just set out to find the best players to fit our needs.
Dan, I asked you this yesterday, but I'm going to ask again. How much does yesterday's announcement in the training facility help you in future recruiting endeavors?
I checked with Adam on this before because I know, there's certain things we've had a timeline on. We've had a little bit of a feel for what we thought could happen with the facility. But if you look at this recruiting class, none of these players were recruited knowing that we were going to have an indoor facility or the major upgrade facility-wise. I think it'll really help us. It's been – I mentioned this yesterday, and I wasn't just saying this just to fill time or make people feel good. We got tons of texts. Our phones were blowing up, and it was from former players, guys that are going to be playing here in the future. A number of coaches, both college and high school, summer league coaches, just talking about the impact that this facility will have on our program long term. So if you have the coaches talking about that and they understand how important that is, they're going to feed that to the future recruits, and I think it's going to be a factor. It's not going to get you 30 more wins a year because I think we've done a good job and played at a high level. But if you can get one or two more great recruits, and all of a sudden you do that each and every year, and you have 5, 6, 7, 8 guys on your team that were just a step above what you've had in the past, it should be good for 5 or 6 more games a year. Then we'll see if I can coach.
Just seems like you got a couple highly rated shortstops coming in, and Brody and Xavier. Is that maybe some middle infield insurance in case a couple of those juniors, Ben and Michael, you might have some draft choices to make?
Yeah, that's part of the equation. We feel really good about Brody and Xavier. They're two very, very good players. We have a couple guys that Brandon Comey and Cam McDonald that are already here on campus that we think fit into that mix as well, and it's going to be fun to see those young guys compete for the middle infield positions. I mean, you project Michael will be gone. There's a good chance Ben may get an opportunity. Whether they decide to sign or not probably depends on where they're at as far as rounds and dollars and those types of things. Those things we don't know, but we needed to protect ourselves in case we lose both our middle infielders. So that was part of the equation. Lauren, I got nothing from you, Lauren. Come on.
That's what I know about the pitchers.
Good arms, really good arms. Not only do I like the physical part of it, I think we've got some tough competitors in that group, some guys that have played on really good summer teams, good high school teams, and I think they're pitchers.
Pitchers you taking on your trip now?
Well, we're taking everybody on the team. We're allowed to take everybody. So
Who's available to pitch?
we'll probably have about 14 or 15 available to pitch. A couple guys, have had either soreness or some things. We're going to be cautious, but we've got plenty of arms.
Have you settled on who your starters are?
We have not settled on the starters. There's going to be some, as Drew and I have talked through this a little bit, there will be some guys starting, but we may start multiple guys throughout the trip just to see how they handle that and see how certain guys handle relief situations. There won't be anybody go over 3 innings. I'm going to say it's going to be more 1s and 2s, and they'll get multiple opportunities. Not going to map things out. We want a little bit of the element of surprise, like what's going to happen in the regular season as far as what we're going to do with the relievers. So we have some things mapped out, but the players don't know what's mapped out yet.
This is you touched on it. It's a balanced class: pitchers, infielders, outfielders. Is that what you wanted? Did the class play out how you wanted it to?
Absolutely. I think balance is extremely important when you start looking at your classes. You don't ever want to get in a situation, where you have all upper class position players and then all your pitchers are freshmen, and you can never get on that same page where you feel like you can go out and have 1 or 2 tremendous seasons. So balance is really important. Sometimes it's very difficult to keep the balance. So the one thing that we've been very fortunate is that we've had really good athletes that worked extremely hard. They put themselves in positions to be junior drafts, make some money in the Major League draft. And when that happens, it kind of throws your balance off because you can't 100% plan for that. And so you may get caught short a year, or you may have to, supplement for a year with a junior college player. Sometimes you supplement with a junior college player. Sometimes you bring in a junior college player because you think it's a great fit to help you win immediately. And so there's a number of different things you do to try to keep that balance, but it is difficult. But this year, with the number of pitchers and position players, it shows great balance.
Dan, I've heard you talk this week about over-recruiting. Could you, or not doing that, could you explain what that is? And with the expected high turnover you'll have this year, what's the confidence you have that a young team can be competitive? And I know we're talking a year down the road and all that, but just as it comes to recruiting.
Yeah, I haven't figured this year out yet. But I'm in the minority when it comes to the over-recruiting piece. If you look at most conferences in the country, today they're signing 25 and 30 players. And I've always said I'm not very good at math, but if you're signing 25 and 30 players, and you're only allowed to have 36 on your roster and 35 on your roster and 27 on scholarship, the numbers don't add up. We got an email this morning from someone that got a text message on Saturday. They'd been committed, I think, for 3 years to a Big Ten school, and they got a text message from the coaching staff on Saturday that they didn't have enough money for them. And so there's a lot of things that happen in my mind that are unethical. People will just sign a number of players. They'll kind of follow them through their senior year. They'll figure out how many guys they lose in the draft, how many guys they want to push off their team, and then they'll deny guys admissions, pull scholarship money, tell them they're never going to play. There's just a lot of things that in our game that I think need to change, and we have not gotten into that. If we overcommit money, it's because we have a pretty good feeling that Tyler Jay is going to sign or Cody Sedlock's going to sign. That's the extent of overcommitting that we do. You could get caught in a situation sometime where you have an injury and somebody doesn't sign, but there's ways within the NCAA rules that you fix that over a couple-year period with your scholarship dollars. So when you see our recruiting classes, we feel really good that we have the money. I just don't think it's right to pull a carpet out from someone. I mean, we're talking about education. We're talking about young kids. We're talking about trying to teach them the right things, and all of a sudden we're being unethical as coaches in those situations. It's just not right.
And then shifting to the Caribbean trip this week or next week, what is the level of competition you'll face, and will you structure your games very rigidly like a regular game, or is it more exhibition style where you may cut it off or may limit pitch limits and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, there's some unknowns, actually. First of all, I think the competition will be very good. It's like anything else. Until you go start playing, you don't know. I know in Curacao, the 3-game series, that they've had a number of teams come over in the past, and there's actually it's not a take-home trophy, but it's a cup that you play for, and you get your name put on there as either the winner or the loser. So that'll be kind of fun for our guys. My understanding is you're going to have former pro players. You'll have some current guys that are in the minor leagues that aren't playing this time of year, obviously, and maybe some up and coming guys. So it's going to be kind of like a national team, both in Curacao and Aruba. So I think the competition will be very, very good. As far as how we're going to structure things, I'm not sure yet. I really want to try some guys in different positions. Your competitive part kind of pops up at times where you want to win the game, and I'm sure I'll do everything we can to try to win. But there's guys I want to put in different situations, different positions, just see how guys react to some adversity. I'll start some upperclassmen. In my mind right now, I'll start some upperclassmen in the first game, and then go with a little bit more youth maybe the second game. But there's a lot of unknowns. I don't know what I'm doing when I'm going into a regular season game. I mean, you know what your starting lineup is, but the way the flow of the game kind of unfolds kind of dictates what you do. I'd really like to have more bench players this year. That's one area I wasn't pleased with last year. Didn't feel like we could go to the not the bullpen. I didn't feel like we could go to the bench with pinch hitters and do some things that I would like to do. So hopefully by having this trip, playing 6 games, getting some of the young guys a little bit more experience, learning a little bit more about them, maybe getting them to settle down where the first month of the season they feel like they've been in a competitive situation at the college level. I think that will help them, which will then hopefully help me being able to try to figure out what we can do to use a bench more than we did last year.